My best friends left me. The sun was setting with ethereal colors, making it seem like we were in heaven. It was such a beautiful sight. The sky was decorated with deep oranges, bright pinks, and light baby blue colors. The clouds were separated, giving the perfect shadow to the already not believable sight. As we all lay there with our feet warm cozy sand, hand in hand we look up at the sky, and as if on command I say, I wonder what it's like up there. Are there really never-ending happy days, and if there are, why can't I have them now? Can I make a deal with someone to have them now? I look over and see my two best friends Joshua and Marisa, smile and start laughing at my absurd question. They were the ones I loved spending all my time with because it always seemed like time moves slower when I was with them, and I loved. We've created so many memories. As the laughing continues in sync, they say, no. Then I started laughing and acted like I was an angry child, which I always did when I didn't my way. We watched the heavenly sight of the world up above disappear into the starry night sky. Sequined silver stars like the scattered embers of a dying fire winked down at me, illuminating the stage curtain of the sky. Eventually, we left against our own will. The people who gave us life were calling us back now. Since Joshua was the only one who could drive and he was too busy trying to impress Marisa, which I always thought was super fun and funny to watch, I took the opportunity to finally drive his dad's Corvette, which just happens to be my dream car. So I got in the driver's seat and rolled down the hood and told Joshua to toss me the keys. He hesitated at first, but he eventually gave me the keys and got in the car. As we drove, the first thing Joshua told me was, "Please don't crash, prefer life. I don't want my dad to kill me, please. I know this is your dream car, but still, take it easy. Hey, I'm a safe driver, even though I technically don't have a license, but hey, no guarantee." So I put the car in drive, but not an ordinary drive mode. I put it in sports mode just to test it out. Also, of course, to give my besties a little scare. As we wind down the hill, we talk about the old days when we were younger, how things were so different back then, and who we wish we could have been with. As always, Joshua's answer has been the same for the past 7 years. I wish I could be with Marisa. He said this with such a loving and almost confident tone. He has never given or even shown interest in someone else ever since we met Marisa. I look through the rearview mirror to see her face, and as always it's bright red as she tries to hide her feelings and fails extremely hard. Hey, what did I tell you about saying that when I'm around you? Not cool, Joshua. Sorry, princess, I can't help but confess my feelings when I have the perfect chance. EWW, what have I told you guys about flirting when I'm in the same area as you? Gross, could at least wait until we got back to the house. We eventually pulled up to Joshua's house, where we were staying for the weekend. Thank God. I don't think I would have been able to hear any more of his cheese-filled pickup lines. We get out of the car as fast as possible so Joshua's dad doesn't see that I was driving the car. We head up the spiral staircase, which always seems like it is never ending and I'm always dizzy getting off of. As we get to our rooms, Joshua acts like he's going to his room, but then turns around and comes into our room so we can stay up and act like dinguses all night. While the night continues, we all slowly fall asleep exactly in the place where we were last spotted awake. The next morning rolls around and we all wake up full of energy and ready to conquer the high school domain. So, we get dressed and Marisa doing her classic high half ponytail with her bangs curled, Joshua of course just trying to at least make his floppy blonde hair looks nice, and me just doing my classic high ponytail with my edges laid down with a wonderful curve and my gold hoop earrings. I never go a day without. Wow, yeah, you always dress to impress, Marisa says in a loving tone. I turn quick and flip my ponytail with a side of sassiness. And I always impress, don't I? Diaresis. As we finish getting ready, we all fall in line to the Chevy Camaro parked in the garage. As we get in, I ask, so any big plans for after school, guys? Diaresis? Nope, Marisa replies with a disappointing tone of voice. Diaresis, I have something in the works for after school and it's going to be big. Diaresis, Joshua said with such a big, gleaming with joy and hopefulness smile. We soon pull up to the school and Joshua goes to park the car, hopefully in the shade. Marisa and I get to the front doors of the school and open them wide as if we're walking in slow motion from a movie. I can see everyone turn and look. I casually wave to some of my volleyball teammates and some friends, and Marisa does the same. Soon after, we go to our meeting spot that we've always gone to since freshman year. Freshman year feels like so long ago. Especially with the fact that now everyone is in relationships or at least trying to be, and I'm the only single Pringle in the container. Yeah, what's your schedule like today? Marisa said. Very chill actually. All I have that is hard today is impossible to pass Spanish class with your future boyfriend. Diaresis, I said with a condescending tone. She hates when I refer to Joshua in that way, but I love to tease her because it's so much fun to see her reaction each time. Sometimes it's a bright red embarrassed giggle of angry, or it's her chasing me around the lunch table we always meet at. Either way, it's a good way to start off the morning. Soriya, what did you say to my princess this time? Joshua says as he walks back from parking the car. Joshua never called me my nickname, which I always found interesting because I've known him for so much longer than Marisa. Hey, why do you always think this situation resulted in a topic relating to you? We could be very well been talking about our favorite actors. Diaresis, I said. Touché. Touché! He said with a disapproving yet curious expression. As the morning continued, we talked about various things I won't mention, and others like homework, teachers, and people who bother us to no end, and how we might fix that. At the same time every day, 8 o'clock, one of our security guards yelled, "Get up, time for class. Get up, time for class!" In a very stern and angry tone. We walk Joshua to his class first as Marisa, and I have the same first period on certain days. Today Joshua asked me to stay behind for a little bit as he had something really important to tell me. I was guessing it had something to do with the big surprise after school he had planned. Oh golly, was I right, and I knew how it was going to end as well, and it wasn't a nice outcome for him in particular. Hey Soriya, can you stay for a little? I just got to tell you something real quick, he said. Yes, of course, Diaresis, I said. I turned and told Marisa, you go ahead, I'll catch up. Diaresis. He looked so happy to be telling me this, and I for one was very excited until he actually told me. Diaresis, so the big surprise after school is for my princess. I want you to help out. Can you? Diaresis, he said. Maybe, but what is the exact surprise for her? I said in a very confused tone. I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. I collate. Do you want her to hear you? He shook his head as my hand covered his mouth. Do you want my advice? Diaresis? Of course, more than anything. Before I even told him, I felt a growing sorrow in my soul because he was just so happy. Diaresis, I think that's a horrible idea. You shouldn't do it. Then I turned around and walked away. I tried not to look behind me because I could already hear the sniffles behind me, and I couldn't bear to see one of my best friends cry, especially because of me. Throughout the day, I figured out the whole entire setup of the asking ceremony. It was going to take place in the gym with her waiting in the middle of the bleachers. Then he'd walk up to the first step of the bleachers and the lights would turn on and the speakers would start playing Cooler Than Me, and every step he took the lights would turn off and on until he got to her, and he told her to look on the gym floor, where it would be written neatly in purple rose petals, Diaresis, will you be mine? Diaresis. Knowing Joshua, it would have been amazing and magical, but knowing Marisa, no matter how magical Joshua makes it, she won't say yes. The school day comes to an end. Joshua hasn't talked to me since this morning when I told him not to do his big surprise. Marisa started to catch on to our argument just by our actions and tone of voice towards each other. So she called for a friend intervention. That's what she called, a friend intervention. Yay, those never bode well when it's just her doing the intervention. So after our last period, we met and she pulled us aside and asked very quietly because people were around. What the hell is up with you both? You guys have been acting weird since this morning, and I'd prefer if I was let in on this secret you have, or whatever argument you had this morning before 1 Diaresis. She looked very aggravated and irritated, but worried and stressed. Joshua rarely ever fought like this, and if we did, you knew it was serious. Nothing major, just a disagreement of opinion about a person's actions, he said. Yes, just a disagreement of opinion about a person's actions, I said, trying to give reassurance to her that it wasn't anything serious. Okay, but guys, you got to tell me sooner. Almost gave me a heart attack thinking I would have to choose between you two. And of course the winner of her friends would go to me, I said with all the sass in the world. In your dreams, Soriya, I'll win your heart over one way or another, he said in a confident tone. As the days and months passed, Joshua and I talked about how his feelings for Marisa are ever growing and increasing by the hour. I keep telling him not to ask her out, period. And if he was really not going to take my advice, totally not ask her with something big and elaborate. So of course, as young senior boys in high school would do, they don't listen to the girl's best friend and go on to do something stupid. In my case, it was when Joshua goes to ask Marisa for a second time, and this time it's really simple. Cyril mentioned it again. Going against my advice, he asks her on the field in the back of the high school campus with a big blue and gold falcon engraved in the grass. He walks up to her and says much. He told her what she means to him, what he does and will do for her, and then get down on one knee and pulls out a promise ring that has her name stitched with purple into the silver of the ring. Marisa got scared and very red right as he got down on one knee to ask her, and right before he could ask her she gets up and walks away like this was nothing to her and this didn't matter. Joshua watches her as she walks away and becomes invisible, just like the way Joshua is feeling. Hey, what did I tell you? This shouldn't have happened. I tried to tell you not to do it, but you never want to listen to me, and now karma is back to bite, and hard. Diaresis, I said in a very assertive tone, but after I was done scolding him I asked in a very soft and sincere tone, "Are you okay, best friend?" Diaresis, I felt like I heard his thoughts, as he cried a river stream and came into my arms for comfort. After all this time, money, and effort, she still doesn't love me. YSORIYAY. Diaresis, he shouted in what sounded like agonizing pain. The only thing was, I started crying too, but for a different reason. Since I knew Joshua was going to go against my advice and ask her anyways, I told Marisa an hour before and told her to say no because it's a bad idea for one, and two, it probably wouldn't work out. So I felt horrible seeing my best friend cry from something I did. I sat there with him, just holding him and crying with him. After he and I finished crying, I asked him with a feeling of sorrow yet trying to make the situation better. "Wanna go get some froyo?" Diaresis, I said. "Who do you think I am, a child? Of course, I want froyo." Diaresis, he said as he wiped his tears and giggled a little. "Okay, I'll drive." Diaresis, I said. "In your dreams, little girl." Diaresis, he said. "Hey, I'm older." Diaresis, I yelled as he started to run away from me, holding two keys in his hands over his head since he's taller than me. After a while, we all came back to our old spot like we always did and talk about the same stuff we always did, as if we never had a big issue at all. That's what I always loved about our little friend group. We always came back together no matter how big the problem was, or at least that's what I thought, until Joshua asked Marisa for the third time and got her to say yes, but then he learned about what I had told her and never talked to me again. So I never saw my two best friends that I shared everything, and the best friends that I thought I would stay with forever. Yay, that ended.